Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with the great Samy from Lost Society. How's it going?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Thank you for asking. Let's say that all things considered, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a pretty crazy year, as probably you know also, but just kind of going day by day and trying to think of the brighter things in life. So I'm doing pretty good, thank you. How are you, man?
Yeah, I know, like same as you. Trying to look at the cup half full instead of half empty.
Exactly.
The downside is I haven't been to a show in months, and I'm feeling a little bit of withdrawal. But with everybody home, at least it's giving us a chance to chat, because otherwise you would probably be on the road touring, and we wouldn't be able to have this conversation.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean I think that's the best way to kind of survive these difficult times. Just thinking about the fact that when it'll be possible to do shows again, they're going to be pretty insane shows, to say the least. And I mean, as long as everyone's staying healthy and everyone's loved ones are healthy, I think that's the main point in all of this. But yeah, I'm definitely getting the withdrawal symptoms also for shows, that's for sure.
As far as shows getting crazy, I've been to a Lost Society show. I even before this pandemic, the shows were crazy. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. If you bought a ticket and you're going to a Lost Society show, if there's one thing you can expect, it's craziness.
Absolutely, dude. That is 100% correct. And I mean, because we're always going to be just four dudes who just kind of love music, love doing shows, and love getting the opportunity to play shows. So, if there's one thing for sure, it's that every time we get the chance of getting on stage, we're just so grateful about everything kind of happening around us that we're just going to go absolutely 100% insane in the shows. And I think it's always funny kind of to meet people after the shows or before the shows where they're like, we kind of thought that you'd be like the most angry people on earth. But it's like, yeah, we're just having a good time.
It's crazy that I saw you guys. I'm gonna say, was it 2017? I think you guys toured North America with Bodum.
Yes, correct.
2017. So that show was 3 years ago, and it's still one of the most memorable live shows that my son and I attended, because you guys.
I'm so happy to hear that.
You guys killed it. Like the energy that you guys had. The intensity that you guys had, like the crowd was absolutely going berserk for you guys. So that says something about the kind of show that you guys put on, that it's been 3 years, and me and him, we still talk about it.
That's like super awesome to hear. Absolutely. And honestly, I remember that show too, and I was so psyched about it. And there were so many factors to the whole tour. Obviously, the first being that it was our first time out there, which was such a massive thing for us. So kind of, like every day was something so incredibly new for us that we just took all the happiness out of it. And I mean, yeah, it was a killer tour. And I think, yeah, for us, the only way to kind of do a good show is to be as memorable as possible, but kind of not to kind of get too cocky about it. It's just us, putting a good show, and it's just as well, the crowd gives us energy and we give the energy to the crowd. So it's about, there's a lot of things going on, but the main thing is just that we like to have a good time, and a stress-free environment is what we like to build up.
I remember the only negative from that show is when we went to the merch stand. You guys didn't have a lot of merch, and we were like, "Oh,
dude, the merch,
get some money."
Dude, the merch situation was like, we were just laughing about it all tour long. I mean, because every time you do a tour, there's going to be something that kind of might go wrong, and we're happy that the merch was the only thing that did go wrong. But we ran out of merch like 10 times during that whole tour, which was so weird. I mean, obviously a very flattering thing, because that meant that everyone was buying it. But still, I mean, it was a super big bummer because we weren't able to offer people t-shirts and stuff. So next time, my friend.
We were able to get one. We were able to get one. So at least we gave you guys some money, and we walked away with a souvenir. So it's not all that bad.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. So you guys released a brand new record, No Absolution, February 21st. Give me a little bit of the behind the scenes. How was your creative process going into this album? It's your fourth album.
Well, honestly, there were a lot of things that were let's say, like pretty much totally different related to this record than ever before. Because, you know, for us, like anyone who kind of knows the backstory of Lost Society, we released 2 records that were super fast. Then we did a 3rd record entitled Brain Dead, where we kind of slowed things down. We brought some melody and stuff like that into it. And then we had like a rather long break, like, or I mean, long in our kind of career thus far, where we really wanted to kind of sit down and just think about what we wanted to tell next, or what's the story we want to bring next to everyone. And I feel like this was the kind of record that we really just wanted to focus all our energy into making the best songs possible, and kind of just going you know, back to all the songs and making sure that they are representing the best Lost Society possible. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things, like obviously the fact that we wrote like tens and tens and tens of songs for this whole process. Then obviously us bringing in someone who was initially like a total like outsider into the whole songwriting kind of the whole songwriting process, which was very new to us. Obviously our producer Joonas Parkkonen, who also co-wrote all of the songs. So there was like a lot of new things going on, which for us just meant that we're going to have like a totally fresh perspective to everything we're doing, which is always, in my opinion, that's always kind of something that you should maybe strive for when you're doing new music, to add something that you haven't done before. And in my humble opinion, we definitely brought a Lost Society record full of the strongest material we've ever done, like, in my opinion.
Do you think that the approach of, and from what I'm listening from you, I'm thinking that you take a different approach depending on what the record is. Is that a way of staying motivated and get the most out of each record, so that you don't have just like a one-size-fits-all, that every record we're going to follow the same script?
Absolutely. You know, to an extent, I could say absolutely, but I can't say like that's the 100% truth, because, you know, to me, for example, because obviously myself and our other guitarist Arttu, we are usually the people who'll kind of start a song because we're the guitarists. So we'll create a riff and then we'll go from there on. So I think the cool thing about writing a record and writing a song in general is that we'll never kind of know for sure what's going to happen. Like, you know, for the first 2 records, obviously the mindset that we had at those times was just doing everything faster than anyone else. But then, you know, when we had time to kind of tour the world a little bit, we saw a lot of things. We went through a lot of things, like growing up, obviously, as people and songwriters. So I remember, like, for the 3rd record already, the first riff that I came up with was the riff for a song called I Am the Antidote, which already was like the slowest kind of song we've ever done in our history thus far. So, you know, the cool thing was that once again, now with no Absolution, when I picked up my guitar, it just so happened that the songs became a bit more melodic. There were more things related to the vocals that I thought about. And then just, you know, having a completely fresh person giving his perspective to the songs made such a huge difference. And to us, that it just motivated us, because we were like, oh, okay, cool. Now we're doing something really, really different. But it's something that, in my opinion, showcases all of our personal influences that we have within the band. Because, you know, although we love playing, you know, heavy metal, thrash metal music, we all listen to a bunch of different kinds of music too. And in my opinion, you know, if my band isn't an outlet to put all of your own personal influences into, then what is?
Yeah. Do you feel like that perhaps people were a little bit unfair with you guys as far as the sound on this record? Because I felt like listening, I'm not talking about myself personally, but from listening to other people, I hear a lot of people complaining that this album doesn't sound like the first 2 records.
Right.
And people tend to forget that the band, you guys are growing as people, as musicians, as you just said. You feel that it's a little bit unfair because people are not even giving perhaps the record its due? Like,
honestly,
looking at what it's in there.
Honestly, yes, because like for me, first of all, I'm always flattered when I hear that you know, something that we have written kind of generates different kinds of feelings in people. You know, be it that they would hate it or love it. I love that either way, because then I know that what I've done has kind of generated something in people. Because, like, I think my worst nightmare would be doing a record and people are like, well, yeah, it's all right. It's not, you know, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just so
It's
anyway, so I felt like definitely it was cool that it generated like different kinds of feelings. And, you know, I'm going to say that I understand 100% when people are like, disappointed that it's not exactly what we're kind of used to doing. But maybe the thing that I don't like the most is when people just don't give it a chance at all, and they doom it before they even listen to it, just with the idea that, okay, so this band totally, they sold out, someone paid them a shitload of money to write this kind of music. Like, what? Because that I just don't understand. But I think, yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, we were 16 to 18-year-olds when we released the first record, and right now I'm almost 25. The oldest dude is already 27. So I think it's kind of maybe a weird scenario if someone was to think that our music will sound exactly the same all the time.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think when you look at this album, you have to judge the album on its own, not like, it doesn't sound like 2 records ago or 3 records. I mean, there's been a long time in between those records.
Absolutely, dude.
A lot of things happen.
And I love to think exactly like you just said. Like when I listen to a record, to a certain extent, I never care about what the band is in question. I like if I was to do a review of a record, I'm going to review the songs and the overall performance of the record. I'm not going to think about it as a record from the perspective of this band. I think that's not important when we start talking about music.
No, 100%. I think you have to judge the album on the merits or demerits that the album has within itself.
Absolutely.
Are the songs good? Is the album well constructed? And I felt that the album, super melodic, super modern, super groovy, but it still had that edge that you guys had in the earlier records. It just has other things around it. It's expanding on its sound. Perhaps that's the best way to go with it.
That is very well said, sir. Thank you very much.
And regardless of the style and the approach, the guitar riffs, the guitar melodies, the breakdowns, the solos, I mean, they're still absolutely lost society on this record. So who needs the pat in the back for the incredible guitar work on this album?
Dude, it's been like a real joint effort for this whole record, more so than ever, because obviously I feel like all of us as individual musicians, we definitely have hit we've done our best that we could ever do at this point for this record. And I have to give such massive credit to our producer Joonas Parkkonen, who himself, obviously, he's an incredible guitarist also. And I think that was one of the coolest things in the whole process, that he could give us firsthand experience on what to do better with some guitar licks or guitar solos or riffs or whatever. So I feel like we had an expert in everything with us there. And Joonas definitely, he inspired us and motivated us to try even harder to make even better songs, even better riffs, and even better solos and everything related to the record. Absolutely.
Was there a specific song on the album that gave you a little bit of a hard time to nail it down, and you guys were almost like, okay, maybe we need to scrap this one and move on?
That's a hard question. I'd probably say that 2 songs that took longer to kind of build, because like I said, we did tens and tens of songs in the demo phase, and then we did pre-production, which initially means that we took our favorite songs and we took them a bit further. So 2 songs that went through about 5 different five different versions was Into Eternity and a song called Artificial. Those were 2 songs that we wrote them about 5 different times. They were totally different in the beginning as to what you can hear on the record right now, but those were definitely very challenging songs. But the feeling when you finally nail the one, when you nail the version that is going to be on the record, it's just oh, that's the best shit ever.
There's 2 songs that I need to ask you some questions about, because I really feel like these 2 have something special. And the first one is A Mark Upon Your Skin. That opening riff, is that a little bit of a nod to Bodom? Because it kind of reminded me a little bit of In Your Face from Bodom. That just...
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point of view, man. Yeah, absolutely. I remember, it's a really funny story, because we did a lot of these kinds of sessions while we were writing the record, that sometimes I would go to Helsinki and just work together with Joonas, our producer. Sometimes he'd come to Jyväskylä, where we live in central Finland. And so we did kind of different lineups when we were writing the songs. But this particular song, I was in Helsinki and we were working on something completely different. We were working on some completely other song. And then it was like 11 p.m. in the evening and we were like, we can't catch a break. We're not going to finish this song. This is, it's the worst stuff we've ever done. Let's scratch that. Then he opens a new project on Pro Tools. He's like, I've had this riff for like a long time lying around, and he's like, then I'll say 1 hour forward, we have the whole song written. And I was like, dude, what just happened? Because I mean, that's basically like a big like kneeling towards, all of our massive groove metal influences like Pantera, Lamb of God, bands like that. And I feel like that definitely represents the kind of, it's like maybe the old meeting the new in Lost Society, that you have the really aggressive, down to earth, just angry vocal and lyric performance, but then you have the ultra groovy kind of riffage and everything. And I love that song. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that song kicks ass. From when you first hear that riff starting up the song, you immediately know that this song is going to destroy everything. You just know it. Even
exactly.
It just lets you know that there's absolutely mayhem around the corner. So you better strap in and get ready. I love that track. I think you guys killed it on that track.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think it's a really cool song also in the way that, I've kind of dealt with the perception so many times that in order for a song to be aggressive, it has to be super fast. But in my opinion, that's like one of the greatest examples, because the whole song is like basically walking tempo. We were thinking about it. We should film a music video of someone just walking across the city, with a baseball bat in his hand, because that's what I kind of think about it. So I think that's in a good way also kind of showing maybe some of the people who are like, no, you can't be heavy if you're not fast. You can't be thrashy if you're not fast. I'm like, well, here you go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Another track that you already mentioned is Into Eternity. How did Apocalyptica come into the scene when you guys were like, whose idea was to bring them into the mix?
That was actually our producer Jonas's idea. And that was also just an awesome scenario. It was like we had the last week of pre-production before we went to record the first half of the record. And we had just, finished the song Into Eternity without any cellos or any orchestration. And our producer, Jonas, was actually on vacation in Italy. And he just called me up one day. We were rehearsing with the dudes like usually. And he was just like, dude, I was listening to the demo of the song. And I just started thinking, what if we ask Apocalyptica to play some cellos? I was like, that is exactly what we should do. And honestly, it made ends meet in so many ways. I think it perfected the song, and it kind of may have given it like the extra kind of, credit. It's like that we could pull it off because we have the most amazing, cello dudes that you can find on planet Earth with us on the song. And I think like I said, when the song came out, I think if the band for some reason was to, just disappear off the face of the earth, I would be satisfied knowing that that was the last song that we put out.
Yeah, and I think it shows a lot of maturity and growth from you guys to be able to pull off a song like that with those guys with you. It's not perhaps something that it would have been almost impossible to even imagine when you guys were first starting with the band, that you would be able to create a song like that and to have that kind of growth within the band. So I think it says a lot about you guys and where you started and where you are right now.
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm actually really happy when the song came out. Obviously we were very prepared to, read a lot of mixed emotions about it, but I was actually super surprised to see that, the majority of our old fans and obviously new fans were like, yeah, this is top notch. This is beautiful. And I'm just so happy that what we wanted to, give to everyone really came across and people understood the idea of what this song is all about. So yeah, definitely. I mean, if you would have said to us during Fast Loud Death in 2013 that you're going to write a song like this one day, I was like, nah, not going to happen. And not, because I wouldn't like the song, but just because it just has so many different layers. And I mean, it's hard to explain, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's so far from where you guys were back then. And I'm not even just talking about the music and how it sounds. I'm just talking even how the song is structured, how it's put together. It just shows a different level. It just shows a different growth. So
Absolutely.
I think you needed that time in between in order to be able to get there. I'm just surprised that you were concerned with how people were going to take it, because the moment you listen to that song, like it's amazing. It's an amazing track.
Exactly. And I mean, the funny thing is, like, with the whole record, because like we recorded like the first song probably about almost 2 years ago, pretty much, because we recorded this in 2 parts, this whole record. And I'm actually super surprised with the fact that, obviously in the beginning when we had these demo songs of, songs like No Absolution and My Prophecy and Non-Believer, stuff like that, we kind of went through the worst like fears in the beginning before we even recorded the whole album, because we knew obviously that there's going to be a lot of mixed emotions, but we kind of got over all of it before the album even came out. And by the time it did come out, the only thing we knew was that this record is so good and we are so proud of it and we can stand 100% behind it, that we honestly, it's like, we're just more frightened that people won't find the record if they're gonna like it or not.
And we've been talking about the guitars and the sound on the record, but we haven't talked about your vocals yet. Did you? I felt like your vocals have matured as well. Not only the sound of the band has matured, but the way you deliver your vocals has matured. Do you find that your vocals on this record are a little bit more? How can I put it? More defined. That they work well with the sound that you guys have created.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because like a big kind of turning point for me was when we were working on the first demos for the record. The first songs were like, I think it was My Prophecy. Like we were doing that in some different version of the song. And a big turning point was when we started recording the vocals. And, I started with my basic kind of signature style growling, the high-pitched growling. And then at some point, me and our producer, we were just like, shall we try something different? And, because I can never really say that it's like a completely new thing for me, because I've been singing for my whole life, which is, I mean, it's a fun fact like that. For example, me and our old drummer, Aussie, actually met through another band where I was the singer and he was the drummer. So I can't really say that it's a new thing for me, but the fact that I found the style that I can incorporate with Lost Society, that was definitely a massive thing. And once we had tried it on the demo of My Prophecy, we were both like, this changes the whole game. And after that, obviously I started practicing way more than I ever had. And I think that really opened up so many possibilities in the writing process, because now I could kind of think of, doing bigger and more massive choruses than ever before. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it will allow you guys to expand your sound and to create songs that can go in different ways. You're not going to be limited as you were perhaps before, where the songs have to follow a certain pattern. This just gives you a lot more freedom creatively too.
Absolutely. And like even for me, because I love bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, bands like that have distinct melodic choruses, really catchy choruses that you can chant along in the shows. And that's kind of one of the things that I've always waited for, the opportunity when I could bring that to this band. And, finding my sound obviously was a big part of that. So, I mean, we were all very, very, very happy when it finally happened. And kind of the same thing as the whole, like, Into Eternity scenario, I think it took the 10 years that it has taken until I kind of got to this point that I would find that sound. And, now having it, it's fucking incredible.
And speaking of having the sound, you guys have the album. You have this album that you need to support and put out there. We have a coronavirus spreading across the world. You guys announced that you're going to be doing some streaming shows for the release of the album. That's happening this month. It's happening in days. How excited are you for those streaming shows that you guys announced?
Honestly, I'm so excited for so many reasons. Obviously, the first one being the fact that something that we have literally poured our blood, sweat, and tears into, which is No Absolution, we're so happy that we finally have the opportunity to take it to the masses, bring it to the masses. And obviously, for us and like so many other professions and so many other musicians and everyone out there, obviously this whole COVID-19 situation has pretty much, emptied everyone's calendars. But the way we like to think about it, we want to challenge ourselves to think of something that we can do, to bring everyone together, to kind of remember that, hey, there will be a time where this doesn't control us anymore. So we are just so excited that now we finally have the opportunity to bring these new songs live. And like, honestly, something that I think will definitely revolutionize the whole music scene, even after the whole virus situation, is the fact that these streaming shows, I'm sure, will become even more popular. And I see only the good things or the good sides in streaming shows, because, whether you want it or not, there's always going to be so many different countries and territories out there with fans that won't necessarily have the possibility of seeing the band every year. So I think it's really incredible that now we will have the opportunity to potentially stream the show to any country, anywhere in the world.
You know what? I didn't think about that until you mentioned it now, because if you're on a tour, you don't necessarily hit every single city. I mean, even when you guys were on the North American tour, it's not like you guys hit every single city. Doing a stream on the East Coast for that time zone, then doing a stream during that same tour, like so that people can even see the audience, but they see you guys perform. I think that would be such a great addition to an actually ongoing tour where you can hit not only the market that you're hitting by playing in that city, but you're hitting all the other cities in the vicinity that don't have a chance to actually go to the shows.
Absolutely. I think it definitely will, or at least I hope it will kind of stick to the whole music scene even after the situation. And I'm kind of so happy to see that with all the creative professions out there, when we are forced to be in a situation where you really have to think outside the box, I think it's really cool to see that ideas are flying everywhere. And I think this is a great example of exactly that.
And we talked about earlier on about the energy that you guys have live. Now you guys going to stream these shows. There's no audience there. Are you a little nervous that you're going to because you have to perform knowing that there's people watching you. They're just not watching you there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a little strange dynamic. Are you guys ready to have that same kind of energy? Have you thought about it?
Honestly, absolutely. Because for us, even when we're rehearsing, just the four of us, we almost act as if we were at a show. Because for us, it's just so important. The music is so important to us because it has always been, and I hope it always will be, it's the outlet to where we can release all of our emotions, all of our aggression and everything. So when we get the chance to play songs live, it just brings like the best in us. So honestly, be it having a physical audience or knowing that there's people all around the world, we're just so excited to get the opportunity to perform our art to everyone out there. So, of course, we are definitely very excited and very nervous about the fact that we're, playing a brand new set live and all kinds of, there's so many firsts in this whole thing. But, we're just thinking about the positive side that, potentially before the show, we can go like, okay, we have 500,000 people out there watching us. And even if we don't have, we'll act like there are.
I love your attitude. It's the best. You're the greatest, man.
You are.
One more question for you, and that is obviously with the summer festival season all cancel, everything cancel. I know you guys are doing these streaming shows for the release of the album. Is this something that perhaps you will continue to do a couple more throughout the summer, just to at least get you guys on stage? Because it looks like there's not going to be anything happening perhaps until the fall or even winter.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'd say never, because this will be now the perfect opportunity to kind of test the whole thing. And I'm so grateful. I have to give a massive shout out to our incredible management and our team behind us, who have honestly been working tirelessly ever since the whole beginning of this situation to make sure that the companies and the partners that we have for these shows will deliver 100%. So I'm very confident with the whole idea of how this will work out. And I could say that honestly, at least if it's up to us, we will definitely do more of these. But now it's a perfect opportunity to everyone, or for everyone to kind of see how the whole thing goes. And I think it's a perfect kind of situation because in my opinion, for a very low cost, you'll see the show, you'll get to interact with the band, you'll get to chat with the band, and you'll see the show for the next 2 days as many times as you want. So I'd say that it's a pretty good package, and if all goes well, definitely this is something that we will do in the future too, because as you said, it's the future is so unsure as to when it'll be safe to play a show again. So I mean, I think this is just a perfect way of still performing without endangering anyone's lives.
Yeah, including yourselves. I mean, we've seen so many bands that have been on tour, and then when the tour was over, everybody was sick.
Absolutely,
As
absolutely.
when you're on a tour bus, everybody's so confined. If one person gets sick, everybody's going to get sick. It's just
Exactly. And for us, it was a very easy call. Even before this whole thing like blew up as big as it is now, it was a very easy call for us to know that we'll cancel everything that was coming up, because when you come to a Lost Society show, the only thing that I want anyone to think about is just that we want to have the best time of our lives, and that the band will deliver the audience the best show possible. So, having to think about, or having to even have it in the back of your head that you might get sick, that's a no-go for us. So
yeah,
the online world is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's great of you guys to have that sort of thought process. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's amazing. I think when you want to go to a show, you want to be 100% relaxed. You want to enjoy the show. You don't want to have all of these. You're going there because you want to distract yourself from the real world. You don't want to take the real world with you into the show.
Exactly.
All right, Samy, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'll be checking out your live stream. I'm looking forward to that, because I haven't seen you guys live, man, since 2017. So I need to see this live stream for myself. Best of luck with the shows, and I hope these are just the beginning. I hope we get a little bit more of you guys throughout the summer during this COVID. It keeps us entertained at home.
Oh, absolutely. I'm great. I'm very happy to hear that. And yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I'm so it's crazy hearing that. It's been 3 years. That's so long, dude. So yeah, hopefully when all of this, when this all dies out, I hope we'll be back there as soon as possible, because we miss all of you.
Yeah, you guys have to come back to North America when this whole thing is over. Like, it's really been a long time. And one thing you have to keep in mind is bring enough T-shirts next time.
That is for sure, dude. That is for sure.
Whatever you guys are ordering, make it times 5. So that way you're going to be covered for the whole trip, because you guys have a huge fan base in North America. So and you could tell by the amount of merch people bought. So really hope to see you guys soon. Thank you once again. Thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck with the release shows. Congratulations on the great album, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, man, and you too.